Alright guys, I am on Lindisfarne. This is where the Vikings first landed. According to legend, Ragnar Lothbrok landed here in 793. From what I've read of history, we're not 100% certain that it was Ragnar, but we're certain this is where the Vikings landed in 793. What's wild here, so this is where that started. This is where all of it started, right here on this island. You guys can see right here. So what's wild about it, I'll first show you before I share what's wild. Right over here, I'm just gonna turn it. That's a destroyed priory. I'm gonna go up a little bit so you get a better view of it. Bear with me, there's going to be some bad wind. Just so you guys can get the visuals of it from a better angle. So you see an old church there. See the old priory. But what's wild is that's not what's here. Vikings landed. It's a smaller priory. Two named saints at the time were St. Cuthbert and St. Oswald. These were the important saints of the priory, but the priory itself that they raided, they don't know where it was. They're trying to find it. Durham University in the United Kingdom has been doing excavations for about the last 10 years, trying to find exactly that. Where was the priory which the Vikings raided? They don't know. They did some excavations right next to this priory. They couldn't find anything solid. They found some archaeological evidence, but nothing that would show, oh, this is where a priory was. They think, and they're not sure, but they think it was in what's now the town of Lindisfarne. So the remains, the foundation, the under buildings people currently live in, which is a bit of a problem. Don't like you digging under their house. So if that's the case, we might not find it for a long time. But they did find something. I'm not right next to it, but I can point out where it is. Over here, see Lindisfarne Castle. This castle is newer. If I remember right, built around 1500, give or take a couple hundred years. It's old, but it's not that old. It's not 793 old. But right near it, they found on a rock, on the ground, an Anglo-Saxon carving of a cross. They think, of course, this is a sign of religious activity here. Priory might have been there, but we don't know. That's not a whole lot to go on. But for me, I don't know anyone watching this, but for me, I've read about the Vikings since I was a kid, in my 30s now. I've read since I was, 7 years old, thereabouts. Right here, where all this started, where all the Viking raiding in England, where it all began. So, it's wild being here with a bit of history, and for anyone watching who is a fan of the show The Last Kingdom, there's, he was from Edinburgh, right? And you might not be able to see it very well, just barely the distance, excuse the wind. moving back so maybe you could hear me over the wind. Sorry about that, but what I was showing you, and I went back up a bit, is Bamborough Castle. Bamborough is Edinburgh. The castle that's there is not the same castle. In the age of the Vikings, castle there would have been made of wood, right? It's the same location. That is where the castle was, right? Story of the Last Kingdom is a bit fictionalized, but the base of the story, the core of it, is true. Down to the point where that castle is real. That's where they were. That was one of the seats of the English kings. There were 7 kingdoms, right? That's why the show is called 7 Kingdoms. Or, sorry, it's called Last Kingdom. They mentioned there were 7, right? And yeah, it's just wild. Now, for a quarter century, I've been reading about this. I'm here. So this morning, I crossed over from the mainland, the causeway. Sent some pictures on Instagram, but yeah, 6 mile hike. So it's now full. The tides, when the tide is low, you can cross from the mainland to the island. When the tide is high, not much you can do. But this is just such a beautiful area. Such a peaceful island. It's not hard to see why the monks built the monastery here. It's pretty easy to see why they chose this place. It's a little refuge.